Welcome all. In this session, we will look into the details of electrochemical machining process. Electrochemical machining is one of the advanced machining process in which the material removal takes place by electrochemical reaction taking place at the surface of the workpiece. Here, the chemical reaction that is taking place at the work surface is a non-spontaneous one which is driven by the supply of the electric current. So, electrochemical machining works on the principle of electrolysis. So, before getting into the details of electrochemical machining, so we will look into the theory of electrolysis technique. So, electrolysis technique uses a direct electric current to drive a non-spontaneous chemical reaction. That is, a non-spontaneous chemical reaction is made to occur by the supply of a direct electric current, and this chemical reaction is used to either deposit or dissolve a specific element from the work material, and this has certain applications in machining, plating, etc. For example, we will consider the electrolysis of molten sodium chloride salt. So we know that solid sodium chloride salt is a non-conductor, whereas in its molten state it can conduct electricity because it contains the charge carriers, that is sodium and chlorine ions. So here we have the basic schematic of the electrolytic cell in which the electrolysis of the molten sodium chloride salt takes place. Here we have a container or a bath in which the molten sodium chloride is present. So what we will do here is that the solid sodium chloride salt is heated so that it transforms into solid state. So we are taking two electrodes. These two electrodes are immersed in the molten salt. One of which is connected to the positive terminal of the battery, which becomes the anode, and another electrode is connected to the negative terminal of the battery, which becomes the cathode. We know that in the battery, the electrons flow from cathode to the anode, that is from the negative terminal to the positive terminal. So what will happen is that these electrons start to flow from the negative terminal to the cathode material, and there will be certain accumulation of these free electrons on the cathode. We know that the electrolyte, here the electrolyte is the molten sodium chloride salt, which contains the positive sodium ions and negatively charged chlorine ions. These positively charged sodium ions will get attracted to the negative terminal, that is to the cathode surface, and here these positively charged sodium ions reacts with these free electrons, negatively charged free electrons, to form a sodium metal. So here what is happening is that this sodium, positively charged sodium ion, is absorbing one of the free electron from the cathode to form the stable sodium metal, which gets deposited at the cathode. So this reaction is taking place at the cathode material. So this is a non-spontaneous reaction, but it is occurring at the supply of the electric current. Similarly, if we see the negatively charged chlorine ions, it gets attracted to the positive terminal of the battery. So what will happen is that there is a reaction between these chlorine ions and the negatively charged electrons. That is what will happen. What will happen at the anode is that these chlorine ions releases electrons to form chlorine gas. That is, these chlorine ions releases electrons to the anode and it forms the chlorine gas. So this is an oxidation reaction that is happening at the anode material. So there is a continuous release of electrons from the chlorine ions to the anode, and there is a continuous absorption of electrons from the cathode to the sodium ions. So this completes the electrical circuit, and there is a continuous flow of electrons from the cathode to the anode. So in case of metal, free electrons becomes the charge carriers, whereas in case of this sodium chloride salt, this positively charged sodium ions and negatively charged chlorine ions becomes the charge carriers. So this technique can be used in some of the applications such as electroplating, electroforming and electropolishing. That is, this electrolysis technique is successfully applied in applications such as electroplating, electroforming and electropolishing. Now, in case of electrochemical machining process, the material removal is by electrochemical dissolution or anodic dissolution. So we will discuss this in the next slide. Here in case of ECM, electrical energy is used to produce the chemical reaction at the workpiece surface. And the machining process works on the principle of Faraday's laws of electrolysis. So we will discuss this in the upcoming slides. So such type of machining process which uses the principle of Faraday's laws of electrolysis is termed to be electrochemical machining process. And this ECM is also called as contactless electrochemical forming process. It is termed to be contactless because there is no contact between the tool and the workpiece surface. And it is called as a forming process because the workpiece takes the exact shape of the contour that is present in the tool. Now, we will discuss about the mechanism of material removal in electrochemical machining process. So here we have the schematic that explains the material removal mechanism in case of electrochemical machining process. So here we have the cathode and at the bottom we have the anode. So cathode is nothing but the tool and anode is the work material from which metal has to be removed. So the cathode the tool is connected to the negative terminal of the battery and the workpiece material is connected to the positive terminal of the battery. And the electrolyte we are using is the water, that is H2O. So from the battery, electrons will be flowing from negative to the positive terminal, and somehow in the electrolyte there should be flow of current. So what will happen is that, as already explained, these electrons get accumulated in the cathode surface, that is at the surface of the tool. These electrons gets accumulated. Since we are using a water as the electrolyte, so there is a electrolysis reaction happening between the tool and the water molecule. So at the cathode there is electrolysis of water takes place, that is there is a reduction reaction happening between the cathode and the water molecule. So here what will happen is that the water molecule absorbs the electrons from the cathode to form hydrogen gas and hydroxyl ions. So this is a reduction reaction happening between the cathode material and the hydrogen molecule. So here cathode in terms like the free electrons reacts with these water molecules to form this hydrogen gas and hydroxyl ions. And at the anode, what will happen is that the metallic atoms, for example, that the metals are made up of atoms. So the metallic atoms at the surface of this material will start to disassociate. That is, it releases its electrons to dissociate from the surface and it enters into the electrolyte. So you know that these atoms are bonded together. So what will happen is that the atoms that are present in the surface which has the contact with the electrolyte, and in order to complete this current flow or this circuit, there must be flow of current from the anode to the positive terminal. So what will happen is that the atoms that are present at the surface will release some of its valence electrons or some of its electrons based upon the valency of dissolution, and it dissociates from the workpiece surface to enter into the electrolyte solution. So this is nothing but anodic dissolution or electrochemical dissolution. So in case of electrochemical machining process, material removal is by means of atom by atom. For example, let us consider ion to be the workpiece material. So what happens is that the ion atom that is present at the surface releases 2 of its electrons to the anode to dissociate from the surface. That is, it forms the ferrous ion to dissociate from the surface and it enters into the electrolytic solution. The electron that is released to the anode material starts to flow to the positive terminal of the battery, and this completes the electrical circuit. So there is continuous consumption or absorption of electron by the hydrogen molecules, and there is continuous release of electrons from the metallic atoms. So this completes the electrical circuit, and because of this supplied electrical energy, the reactions are happening at the cathode and as well as the anode surface. Sometimes the released metallic ions reacts with the hydroxyl ions released during the reduction reaction to form metallic hydroxides. Here a ferrous hydroxide is being formed, which is formed because of the reaction between the metallic ion and the hydroxyl ion that is formed during the reduction reaction. This ferrous hydroxide again can react with the hydrogen molecule and oxygen to form ferric hydroxide. So these are the products of reaction that is happening during the electrochemical reaction process. Electrochemical machining process. Now, the gap between the tool and the workpiece is termed to be inter-electrode gap, that is IEG. So smaller is the gap, so we will have greater current flow. So if IEG is very small, the resistance for the current flow will be lesser, so we will have greater current flow and higher MRR from the anode surface. Similarly, if IEG is smaller, we will have higher current density. So if higher current density is there, higher is the electrochemical reaction, which promotes rapid generation of reaction products. So here reaction products are the metal hydroxide. So sometimes what will happen is that these reaction products, that is these metal hydroxides, act as a barrier to the flow of current. So this can be minimized. That is, the presence of this metal hydroxide in the electrolyte can be minimized by supplying the electrolyte at a particular pressure. So the pressure of the electrolyte can vary between 2 to 35 kg per centimeter squared. Because of this, the electrolyte will flow with a velocity of around 20 to 30 meter per second. Commonly used electrolytes are acids and salts which are dissolved in water. Now, the electrolyte that is flowing at high velocity serves variety of functions. So the first one is it dilutes the electrochemical reaction products. So here reaction products are the metal hydroxides. So it dilutes these metal hydroxides and removes them out of IEG, so that MRR will be higher and the machining rate will also be higher. And it dissipates the heat at a faster rate. Sometimes the chemical reaction is also associated with the heat generation. So because of this presence of electrolyte, it can dissipate the heat at a very fast rate, and it can also limit the concentration of ions at the electrode surface to give higher machining rates. You know that these metallic atoms dissociate from the anode surface to form the metallic ions. Sometimes these ions, metallic ions, accumulate on the surface of the work material, that is on the surface of the anode. So what will happen is that this will block the flow of electric current and it reduces the machining rate. So the presence of, that is the flow of electrolyte at very high velocity limits this concentration of ions on the anode surface to achieve higher machining rates. Next thing is the electrolyte properties. That is, the performance of ECM depends upon the properties of electrolytes. We will here look into the different properties of electrolytes. So which are composition, concentration, pH value of the electrolyte, temperature and concentration of foreign elements present in the electrolyte. So these are the various properties of the electrolyte which influence the final performance of the electrochemical machining process. So along with this, the shape of the tool should also be closely controlled to achieve better dimensional accuracy. Here what is these variables. So all these variables determine the geometry of the machine component, that is the anode profile. So anode profile depends upon all these parameters. And composition, concentration and pH value of the electrolyte solution can be controlled by adding water and salt solution. So we can either increase the composition or reduce the composition by adding water or the salt solution. Similarly, concentration and pH value can also be controlled by the similar method. And if you take the temperature of the electrolyte, it can also govern the electrical properties of the electrolyte. So it can be controlled by either heating and cooling the electrolyte which is present in the tank. So these are the some of the parameters of the electrolyte properties which determines the geometry of the machine component. Now, for constant material removal rate, the cathode is moved towards the anode at the same rate anode is being dissolved. So you know that the anode material, that is the workpiece material, is continuously getting dissolved into the electrolyte. So what we have to do is that the tool has to be moved towards the anode at the same rate the material is being dissolved, so that we can maintain the gap, so that we can maintain a constant gap between the tool and the workpiece. So the exact profile of the tool can be replicated on the workpiece material. So here you can see in this area there is a higher current density because it is already explained. So when IEG is smaller, higher flow of current will be there, that is the current density will be higher. So here MRR will be higher, whereas in this portion the interelectrode gap is smaller, so material removal rate will be less. So we can exactly replicate this contour onto the workpiece surface. Also we can maintain the gap between the electrodes constant by moving the tool towards the workpiece material at the same rate anode is being dissolved. So smaller IEG gives higher current density, in turn gives higher material removal rate. So we have previously discussed about the various parameters that controls the anode profile. So but we can narrow it down to two important parameters, that are current density and cathode shape. That is, if the current density is higher, material removal rate is higher. Similarly, the cathode shape, it also determines the final contour that is being generated on the workpiece surface. So we have already discussed that electrochemical machining process works on the principle of electrolysis. So here, in case of electrochemical machining, material removal is governed by Faraday's laws of electrolysis. So here we have two different laws, so we will look into it. So in the first law, it is explained that it is stated that the amount of chemical change produced by an electric current, that is the amount of substance deposited or dissolved. So in case of electrochemical machining, it is the substance being dissolved, that is the amount of substance dissolved is proportional to the quantity of electricity passed. That is, if the quantity of electricity is higher, then the amount of substance that is dissolved during electrochemical machining process will be higher. That is, if the current increases, then amount of substance dissolved will also get increased. This is the first law. And second law states that the amount of different substances deposited or dissolved by the same quantity of electricity. You know that in case of pure metal, only one element is present, whereas in case of an alloy, there may be two or more elements present within it. So for the same quantity of electricity that is past, the amount of different substances, here different substances represents the different elements that is present in the alloy. So the amount of different substances dissolved by the same quantity of electricity is proportional to their electrochemical equivalent weight. So for example, if you consider aluminum and copper alloy, we have two different substances, that is aluminum and copper. So for the same given quantity of electricity, aluminum will dissolve at a particular rate, whereas copper will dissolve at a different rate. So this amount of substance that is being dissolved by aluminum and copper depends upon their electrochemical equivalent weight. So here we can write the amount of material dissolved as M. So here M represents the amount of material being dissolved from the workpiece, which is proportional to the current, time and electrochemical equivalent. So here E is the electrochemical equivalent weight. So we can calculate this from the atomic weight and valency of dissolution of the particular element. For example, A will have a specific atomic weight and valency of dissolution. So if you know the atomic weight and valency, you can calculate the electrochemical equivalent of the specific element. And here M, and then M equals I times T E by F. Here F is the constant of proportionality, which is nothing but the Faraday's constant, and M is the mass that is being dissolved in grams. So in case of pure metals, you can easily calculate the electrochemical equivalent, because in case of pure metal only one element is involved. So electrochemical equivalent E of the pure metal can be calculated to be A by Z. So we know the atomic weight of that specific element. Similarly, the valency can also be obtained. So in case of pure metals, obtaining electrochemical equivalent is easy, whereas in case of alloys, two or more elements are involved in it. So in that case, we have two different methods to find the electrochemical equivalent for the alloys. So the first method is percentage by weight method. So in percentage by weight method, so we are calculating the electrochemical equivalent of the alloy. So here A by Z of A represents the electrochemical equivalent of the alloy. So what we are doing is that we are calculating this electrochemical equivalent of this alloy by multiplying the electrochemical equivalent of individual elements. So here AI by Zi represents the electrochemical equivalent of the individual element. Here in an alloy, there may be two or more elements. So I represents the individual element that is present in the alloy. So here we are multiplying this electrochemical equivalent of a particular element by their respective weight percentage. Okay, and then finally we are summing up all these individual values of the respective elements to get the electrochemical equivalent of the alloy. So what we are doing is that we are individually calculating this electrochemical equivalent of the elements. We are summing up it for all the individual elements and finally dividing it by 100. So here N represents the number of constituent elements which is present in the alloy. And the second method is superposition of charge method. So in this case what we are doing is that, so we are calculating the amount of electrical energy or electrical charge required to dissolve the individual constituent element of the alloy. So this will be equal to, that is the amount of electrical charge required to dissolve the individual constituent element of the alloy is equal to the total charge required to dissolve 1 gram of the alloy. So what we are doing is that initially we are calculating the total electric charge required to dissolve 1 gram of the alloy. So this can be calculated from this, that is Z by A of A times F. So F is the Faraday's constant in ampere second. So Z is the valency, A is the atomic weight of the alloy. So Z by A of A, Z by caps A suffix A represents the times F represents the total electric charge required to dissolve 1 gram of the alloy. So this can be calculated using this equation. So here what we are doing is that we are individually calculating the term Z by A for the individual constituent elements, and finally summing up it for the total elements involved in the alloy. And finally this equation can be simplified to this form to get the electrochemical equivalent of the alloy. So A by Z of A represents the electrochemical equivalent of the alloy by means of superposition of charge method. So we can use either percentage by weight method or superposition of charge method to calculate this electrochemical equivalent or alloys. Next, we can calculate the MRR in terms of grams. So using this formula, that is IE by F. So I is the current, E is the electrochemical equivalent, F is the Faraday's constant. So if you know that in case of electrochemical measuring, all of the current that is supplied is not utilized in dissolving the material from the workpiece surface. So what happens is that only certain percentage of the current supplied is used to dissolve the metal from the workpiece surface. So actual MRR depends upon the current efficiency eta. So the eta ranges between 75 to 100%. So we can calculate this MRR in terms of grams, which is equals to eta times IE by F. So here eta represents the current efficiency, which varies from 75% to 100%. So finally we will see the applications of electrochemical machining. So we can use electrochemical machining in turning, trepanning, broaching and grinding operations, and we can also drill fine holes, die sinking, piercing, deburring, plunge cutting, etc. So these are the industries where electrochemical machining processes are used, which are aeronautics, nuclear technology, space vehicles, automobiles and turbines. So we can also machine turbine blades, which is made up of high strength and temperature resistant alloys, and it can also be utilized to copy internal and external surfaces and cutting of curvilinear slots. And machining of intricate patterns, production of long curved profiles are also possible with ECM. So we can also machine gears and production of integrally bladed nozzle for use in diesel locomotives. Finally, we can produce stellite rings and connecting rods using ECM, and machining of thin and large diameter diaphragms is also possible with electrochemical machining process. So this is the basic. So go through the basic mechanism of electrochemical machining process. So you can refer the advanced machining process by V.K. Jain to get detailed information. So go through the problems in it. Sometimes the exams may have problems related to the calculation of this electrochemical equivalent by using this percentage by weight method and superposition of charge method. Similarly, calculating the MRR and MRR in grams. So you can also calculate MRR in terms of volumetric, which is equal to eta times IE by F divided by density. So which gives the MRR in terms of volumetric. That is, we will get the volumetric material removal rate. So thank you. We will see about electron beam machining and laser beam machining in next class. Thank you.